Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Assorted Crisis Events, issue number 4. Another issue, another pick of the week. You know what? I do believe, and I know it's still only halfway through the year, but we might be looking at one of the best comic books of 2025. Assorted Crisis Events is amazing. Imagine a world that is having some kind of a time level crisis, right? Think like a crisis event over at DC Comics or something like that. But these are self-contained, one and done stories in this world that have more of a mundane nature. So it's not about the giant physics of what's going on or anything like that. It's just about the everyday experience of the everyday person whose life just happens to be interrupted by these type things. It lends itself to be a very interesting exploratory type book to play with, right? Where you can tell these really profound and emotionally intelligent and resonating stories, and you can also do so in really experimental and boundary pushing ways. Technically speaking, that's what's going on in the pages of Assorted Crisis Events. It's written by Dennis Camp. In this issue, it is about a man who feels like time flies. Time is going so fast. You know that idea, and it's kind of true. The older we get, it seems like time goes faster or something like that, right? This is what's happening to this dude. He's a teenager, all of a sudden he's in college, all of a sudden he's got a job, he's got a wife, he's got kids, his life starts spiraling beyond his control because it seems to just come at him way too fast. And he doesn't have enough time to really even make a decision. Really incredibly well-told story here, especially with the artwork by Eric Zawadzki. The artwork is exceptional. So you got Jordi Belair on the coloring, choosing to do this with just 2 colors, mostly red and blue. Of course, a little bit of white and in between stuff like that. But the book graphically works, and it works so well as far as the isolation that this man is feeling as time seems to speed right on by. The layouts, the way everything is folded in to the narrative here from the visuals, it's absolutely astounding. This is one of the best single issue comics I've read this entire year, and every issue of Assorted Crisis Events is just seeming to get better and better and better. Pick of the week, easily. And it's a pretty good week of comics. So we got another one out called News from the Fallout, issue number 1. This is written by Chris Condon, who you'll know from That Texas Blood, and Jeffrey Allen Love. I love Jeffrey Allen Love's work. He's a super cool dude, and I love his very graphic, stark, yet textured and gritty kind of style, and it's perfect for this book. This book is about a nuclear explosion and this group of soldiers being experimented on. They want to know how the radiation is going to affect the soldiers. The soldiers become monsters, and now this dude's trying to get away from them, and he leads them into a town. That's basically what's going on. It's a little bit zombie fiction, Contagion type stuff, but the way it's told visually is so striking. I really liked this book. I thought it was super cool. If you like something a little bit different, check that one out. Then we've got We're Taking Everyone Down With Us, issue number 4. This is, in my opinion, right now, the best book that Matthew Rosenberg has ever written. I think he's a solid writer. He's done some really solid work, but We're Taking Everyone Down With Us is next level for me. It's got the charm and the wit and a little bit of that humor that you're used to from Rosenberg, but it's got a whole lot more like heart and drama and emotion to it, and it really freaking works, especially with the artwork by Stefano Landini and colors by Jason Wordie. This book is absolutely amazing. It's basically a supervillain who has a daughter. His base gets attacked. He dies, seemingly puts his consciousness into a robot who is now trying to protect this little girl. The journey's been fun. It's been action-packed, and we've had some major revelations here in issue number 4, so that's a really solid book. We also got You'll Do Bad Things, issue number 4. This is a book about a writer who wrote a true crime novel and helped solve the crime that he was writing the novel about, and he's struggling to write his second book. And every time he writes something, and he wants to write something other than murder, but he always seems to get back into writing murder, and everything that he's writing is coming true. The book at times is a bit challenging and even slightly confusing in its narrative. This issue, though, felt the most ironed out for me with my reading experience. I love the artwork. This is by Tyler Boss, and he is the writer and the illustrator. Note, the illustrator is actually Adriano Tertolici. I love the art. I really like the story. It's really ironing itself out. I'm starting to understand and get into the vibe a little bit more. And then, towards the end of the book, it does a shift, and I start getting confused again. But it's still intriguing enough. So I'm kind of into this book, but at the same time, I do find it slightly challenging. Then we got Void Rivals issue number 20. Robert Kirkman's been doing a great job with Void Rivals. It does feel like the story is still moving, but it's not moving as fast as some of those other issues have moved. Void Rivals was, I think, is definitely one of the slower moving out of all the Energon books. However, if you really look at everything that's happened in just 20 issues, a lot has happened. A lot of mythology's been revealed, a lot of world building's been done, a lot of character work, and once again, our two main characters, who as names I never remember, they're once again, they were apart, they came together, they went apart again, now they're together, but now they're separate again. It's interesting the way that things keep flipping in this story. I really like it. Plus all the stuff that's being done with what, Skuxoid or whatever, it's pretty freaking dope. So I still like Void Rivals because I like anything Energon Universe. Then we got Universal Monsters, The Mummy, issue number 4. This is the final issue of the series, written and illustrated by Faith Erin Hicks. And for the most part, I've liked this story. I think it's been one of the weaker Universal Skybound monster books so far. I definitely say Dracula and Frankenstein are like at the top. But this one's down there maybe with the creature, the Revenge of the Creature, or whatever that one's called. The Creature from the Black Lagoon one. That one was all right. But this one's pretty good. I like it's telling the story from Helen's perspective. It does some things with the ending that I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if we really need to do that with the ending. But all in all, I really did like it. And I did really like this Jay Lee cover. There's a lot of great covers this week. It's going to be hard to pick a cover of the week. But Department of Truth, issue number 31, is definitely a contender for cover of the week. Look at that beautiful Martin Simmons cover. Now, Martin Simmons is not doing the interior here. This is Letzia Cardanici. Probably butcher that name. I very much apologize. A very similar style to Werther Della Dera from Something is Killing the Children. I liked this. It's focusing in on... It's one of those deviation stories where we're going to get into another urban myth or something like that. We're getting into the Hat Man, which I know of a Hat Man type entity. I think it's related to a lot of shadow entities or something like that. However, this one in particular is something from the internet, like being in the worst spots of the internet for too long. You start getting haunted by the Hat Man. So it's an investigation into that mythological figure and the woman attached to it. I really thought the book was good, well written. The art was good. It's not Martin Simmons, and usually that annoys me in Department of Truth, but for this one, for this deviation, I liked it. I thought it was rather appropriate. Then we got The Seasons, issue number 5, continuing on this fantastic book, written by Rick Remender with artwork by Paul Azaceta, or Azaceta, I believe. This book is awesome. So it's about these 4 sisters. Each one is named after a season, right? So there's summer, spring, winter, and autumn. Spring is the youngest one, and she has... Their parents are missing, and now there's this weird, like, festival, carnival type thing going from town to town, and when they leave that town, nothing's the same. It's very weird, just very threatening and menacing and scary and all those kind of things. But the carnival is here now, and Spring is getting more involved, and some of her other sisters are getting involved. This has been a really solid book. It's well rendered. Technically, it's a solid read, and I really enjoyed these characters. So, The Seasons is pretty solid. Hyde Street is here with issue number 7. Super solid issue of Hyde Street. So there's this little Boy Scout character named Pranky, and he's kind of like set up to be one of the villains of Hyde Street or whatever. And then there's this other character who is a disgraced actor who is now permanently in his Frankenstein costume. So Pranky is going to try to hunt this monster, And it's so awesome. First of all, there are some monster cereal mascots in here. Instead of like Frankenberry and Count Chocula and Boo Berry, they have Dr. Jekyll and Peanut Butter, or Dr. Jelly and Peanut Butter, Mr. Peanut Butter, Sugar Scream, which is like a witch, and Creature Crisp, which is a creature from the Black Lagoon type character. I really like it because like peanut butter and jelly flavored cereal, let's do that. The witch one is orange vanilla, kind of like the last iteration of Fruity Yummy Mummy. And then Creature Crisp is mint chocolate. Those are some interesting takes on cereal flavors. I think Jeff Johnson's got a better idea than General Mills does right now. Anyway, that being said, I really loved this book. I loved all the monster stuff. Ivan Reis's artwork was absolutely spectacularly fantastic in this issue. I like it when Hyde Street really leans into the horror and the classic horror tropes and things like that. That's what they do here. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Then we got Feral issue number 14, a beautiful homage cover to the most recent Nosferatu movie. So great variant cover here, as well as just a super solid issue. It's kind of like an ongoing zombie tale involving cats. It's like a form of rabies, but you're doing all the zombie tropes, but you're doing them in interesting, fresh ways. All about cats, right? The art is great. You got Tone Rodriguez, who does these more realistic backgrounds and all the elements in the scene, and then all the cats are drawn by Trish Forstner, which gives it very much a Disney Don Bluth type aesthetic, and it works so well for this book. The art looks even better, I think, in Feral than it did in Stray Dogs. So this issue is focusing on our cats that we have been following have found a pet store seemingly abandoned. They went to take it for their own, but there's already a community of cats there. This is them adjusting to this new community consortment of cats, if you will. So Feral issue number 14, super solid stuff, and taking familiar tropes from zombie fiction, but doing it and I guess adding the cats in it, making it look like a cartoon. There's something, and just a fresh approach to this pacing. It's putting the emotional weight back into zombie fiction. There you go. Then we got Moonshine Bigfoot here with issue number 3. A great issue of Moonshine Bigfoot. Think the aesthetic and the vibe and flow of Dukes of Hazzard, but with a Bigfoot, right? So he's a redneck, moonshine and Bigfoot. He's a Sasquatch. His girlfriend is missing. He's going to go try to find her. There's all kinds of crazy hijinks going on. There's flying saucers, crazy scientists trying to figure things out. Shit goes crazy in issue number 3 of Moonshine Bigfoot. I had so much fun with this book. Doesn't take itself too seriously, and the artwork, even though it's got a lot of detail to it, and if you look at it, it's got a lot of detail. It seems like it's kind of cluttered up, but it flows so well, and it really does handle the more dynamic requirements from this story. Then we got Gunslinger Spawn, issue number 44 here. It's an alright issue of Gunslinger Spawn. This book's been steadily just kind of alright. It's not bad, it's not great, but it's not boring, and this was a pretty enough, solid enough issue. But Gunslinger's still running around with this like angel dude or some other dude, like in just fight, just revenge, stuff like that. I don't know, there's some cool bits in the artwork, some interesting stuff. It's alright. $3.99 now for a cardstock cover, though. That's still a pretty solid deal. Alright, over at DC Comics, we got the new history of the DC Universe, issue number 1. You got artwork in here from Todd Knock and Jerry Ordway, so it's cool. And they're two different styles. One's more like 90s, one's definitely more like 80s or classic feeling, but they actually work together as the story goes from section to section. So this is Mark Waid writing this, and it's just basically telling the new history of the DC Universe. There's been a few reboots and crisis events and things like that, and rebirths, right? Since the last time they've done one of these, and DC does this every so often. So this is Mark Waid chronicling the timeline, the official current timeline of the DC Universe through all the different changes and events and everything, and setting it up for what's to come, and tying things together that haven't really been tied in together before. I like stuff like this. I really eat it up. This one takes you from the very beginning of the universe to the moment Superman left Krypton. So, pretty fun. If you're a fan of like the original history of the DC Universe, Marv Wolfman, George Perez, it's kind of the same vibe. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Lots of cool covers for that, too. Then we get Absolute Martian Manhunter here with issue number 4. Y'all, this could have easily been the pick of the week as well. A fantastic issue written by Dennis Camp with artwork by Javier Rodriguez. this is such a great issue. So there's a heat wave going on in the city, and of course the White Martian is loose, and John Jones, with this ultra-terrestrial entity known as the Martian Manhunter, he's trying to find out how the White Martian is using this heat energy or whatever from this white hot sun, and it's causing everybody to go crazy and start murdering people and all this stuff. Meanwhile, John Jones is dealing with emotional turmoil at home. It was incredibly well crafted. The artwork is absolutely stellar and astounding. And just like Assorted Crisis Events, Absolute Martian Manhunter is one of the best books of 2024 as well, so far halfway through the year. Then we got Absolute Wonder Woman here with issue number 9, a fantastic issue of Absolute Wonder Woman. This book has been one of my favorites of the Absolute line since it first debuted. This issue is no exception. We've been introduced to the Absolute version of Dr. Poison. Diana is interrogating Dr. Poison to find out some information that she needs to maybe find a lost Amazon sister, and so it brings her into the labyrinth. So there's a Minotaur, all that stuff. Hayden Sherman's artwork and composition, absolutely astonishing as always, and Kelly Thompson doing a great job of delivering a Wonder Woman that is very much true to the core of Diana, however, different enough to justify the existence of an Absolute Wonder Woman. This is great stuff. Absolutely. That was so stupid. Mr. Terrific Year 1, issue number 2 is here. Y'all, another super solid issue that's not only looking at an origin of sorts for Mr. Terrific, but also in particular doing something in the current DC universe that's tied into all of the all-in stuff and the dark side energy, all of that as a framework around telling the story of Year 1, but tying it all together. I really like that. I think it's clever, and I really like this book. So for the framing sequences, you got one artist, I believe that is Luis, maybe Delandro, and then the other artist doing the Year 1 sequences, right? And they do rehash a little bit of, you know, what happened to his wife and his unborn child and stuff like that, but that's not what this story is about. It's about how Michael Holt became a hero, and the Spectre has a lot to do with it. So this comes across as superhero cheese, where the Spectre just shows up, has a chat with this dude, and basically trying to convince him to become a superhero like he was in the JSA. That's goofy, right? But that works in superhero comics. And it even works in modern superhero comics because DC's kind of proved it a lot, especially this week, of doing goofy, cheesy superhero stuff, but doing it in a more modern, fresh way that still works and still has all the awkward quirks of the superhero stuff. Mr. Terrific Year 1, number 2 was awesome. I really liked it. Then we got Justice League Unlimited issue number 8. It's the final part of We Are Yesterday. I've been critical of this book, basically using Batman World's Finest, or Batman Superman World's Finest, I felt, to like goose up the numbers for those to tie it into Justice League, and I felt like it was missing some momentum or whatever. Then I read this last issue. This last issue was freaking awesome. It's phenomenal. Dan Mora's artwork, it was everything I love about superhero comics. It was big, it was bombastic, it was boisterous. Hell, it was even buoyant. It was float. If you put this in some water, it would probably float. Lots of exciting superhero giant action here. Big hyper scale type stuff. A very satisfying conclusion and a setup for some more interesting bits to come. And you know what, Mark Waid? You did it. You pulled me right back in. I'm on board again with Justice League Unlimited, and I think I might need to go through and reread We Are Yesterday all the way through in one sitting, see how I feel. Then we got Superman issue number 27 here. I'm in love with what Josh Williamson's been doing in the pages of Superman, honoring what's come before, whether it be Golden or Silver Age, whether it be pre-crisis or slight post-crisis, or in particular mining the Jeff Loeb, Joe Kelly era, one of my favorite eras. Joe Casey was a part of that as well. Mining that kind of stuff to do something bold, new, and fresh. The Superwoman bit, that is over now. Lois has lost those powers, so we're dealing with the aftermath of that, as well as tying up a bunch of threads that were left loose from the last issue and setting up some really exciting things to come. This book directly is plugged into the through line of where we're building the DC universe into right now. I mean, we're not going to lie. We all know there's another crisis event coming or something like that. It's tied into the Absolute universe, the dark side energy. They're playing with this. DC's doing such a great job of building this up appropriately and making people like me very excited and very much wanting to stay plugged in and seeing all the pieces and how they will inevitably fit, because this is all leading into this Legion of Superheroes from the Absolute Dark Side universe or whatever. That's all coming up, and it's all just teed off so perfectly here. And a new status quo for Lex Luthor. Pretty freaking dope. Let me check the time. We've been rambling a bit. All right. Green Lantern is here with issue number 24. A stellar issue of Green Lantern. Seriously, Jeremy Adams is doing... I mentioned this in a previous issue we were just talking about. Mr. Terrific. Like, kind of taking the goofy awkwardness of superhero stuff and actually making it work, right? Well, one of the things I remember about comics is every once in a while you just pick up a comic and there's a new adventure that starts, right? A new mystery to explore, even in the midst of long-form narrative storytelling. And that's what's going on in Green Lantern. Jeremy Adams is really good at this, especially in the modern superhero comic. So we got Carol and Hal. They're just doing run-of-the-mill superhero stuff. They're taking some people to prison. They discover a mystery, and then that leads into a deeper mystery that is somehow tied into the overall arc. I really like that. That's cool. And then you got the subplot of Superboy, Connor, and Kyle Rayner out in space with some people having their mission. So it's a nice, fun back and forth. It feels like it's worth my time to read. It feels like I'm not cheated. It doesn't feel like I just got a brief chapter out of a comic. It feels like an actual story, but part of a continuing saga. And I love that. That's one of the things we love about comics, right? Anyway, Green Lantern was great. Then we got DC Sonic the Hedgehog, issue number 4. The penultimate issue of this 5-part series. All the Sonic characters, all the DC characters, all combined together. Last we've seen, our Justice League is still on the Sonic Earth, while all the Sonic characters are in the DC universe. So this is dealing with the plan for the Justice League to get out of the Sonic universe. A lot of other Sonic characters appear that haven't appeared yet. This book's just so much fun. It's exciting, too. It's, like, fun. I'm not even a big Sonic head, and I'm having a lot of fun with this silly-ass book. I think you will too. All right, then we've got Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante Eagerly Double Feature, issue number 4, the penultimate issue of this 5-issue series, which has got a story consultant in James Gunn. It is tied into the Peacemaker, the Peacemaker show universe. It's that tied in. It's that version of Vigilante. He is trying to save Chris. Chris has lied to him, right? And Chris has just kind of ghosted him because Chris is on vacation, Peacemaker, right? That's what the second story's about. It's Peacemaker on vacation. First story is Vigilante trying to save Peacemaker because he doesn't understand that Peacemaker lied to him. So it's funny. You got Mitch Gerrits on the art on the first bit, and on the second bit you have Rex Ogle. 2 different styles, but very much appropriate for each one that they're doing. Funny, silly, mature reader hijinks ensue. All right, then we got Batman Ghost. It was like a Halloween Legends of the Dark Knight special. This is the 3rd facsimile that they've done. I love those foil facsimiles. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. This is the stuff they did that led into their work on like Long Halloween and Dark Victory. So they've been re-releasing these. There was the Halloween special. I think it's just called, I don't remember what it was called, right? The second one's called Madness. This one was called Ghost. These are the books that are collected in Haunted Night. Anyway, I like those. Then we got some reprints of the first issues of Absolute Superman by Mark Spears. We got a reprint of Absolute Batman number 1 by Mark Spears. And we got a reprint of Absolute Wonder Woman number 1 by Mark Spears. And yes, y'all, they combine. With their powers combined, they make one frickin' image. That's pretty cool. You know what? A lot of contenders for cover of the week. It's been a minute since I've given it to Mark. Mark, you got a 3-way tie. Those are super cool. Super cool. All right, let's go to another cover of the week possible candidate. And Marvel. And from Marvel, we have Giant Size Age of Apocalypse, issue number 1, the latest in a series of Giant Size X-Men one-shots that have shown Legion and Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, traveling through time to pivotal moments in X-Men history to become active participants. In this issue, they wind up in the Age of Apocalypse. We got a great Art Germ cover right there of Jean Grey from the Age of Apocalypse. Freaking love that cover. Art Germ, a lot of his covers can kind of look the same. You know, they don't really blow me away, but sometimes something like this comes out and I'm like, man, that's a really cool cover. Those colors, those curves. Anyway, moving on. I have a whole bunch of nostalgia for the Age of Apocalypse. I really do. So most of these Giant Size X-Men one-shots, I haven't really been that super into, but this one I was more into, and it's probably because I do have the nostalgia tie to the Age of Apocalypse. Man, I remember being like in middle school, those books were coming out. We're like, they changed everything. They killed Xavier. The whole timeline's changed. Apocalypse is in charge. Everybody was tracking down all of those issues. It was such a cool story. You go back as an adult, you reread it. You're like, well, a lot of this is poorly executed as far as the story goes. but I still have this nostalgic love for that series, so it helped this pill be a little bit easier to swallow. Then, of course, we got a backup story in here. It's Jeff Lemire, or not Jeff Lemire, Jeff Loeb, and it's a little tease, along with Simone DeMeo, about their upcoming Age of Apocalypse miniseries that's debuting soon. So you get a little bit of a tease of that, so yeah. Let's mine Age of Apocalypse again, why not? Then we got Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 18. Marco Cicchetto back on the artwork here. It works. And then Jonathan Hickman just doing what he's been doing, just telling a really great story with these characters, with these personalities, right? So all these pieces are moving now. And this book, even though each issue seems like it's not doing a lot, this book has a lot of moving pieces and a lot is going on, especially in this issue. But Peter Parker and Harry Osborn are reunited, teaming back up as Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, Mysterio, or should I say the Mysterios, you know, because there's more than one. That's an interesting concept that's being developed here in the pages of Ultimate Spider-Man. But Mysterio's made a move kind of against the Kingpin. Everything is changing, everything is shifting, and then you got some really crazy bits here towards the end. If you're loving it, Ultimate Spider-Man, no reason why you're not going to continue to love it with issue number 18. Then we got Spider-Man and Wolverine issue number 2. Got the variant cover right there by Eric Larson. I think it's pretty cool. I've been going through some Eric Larson Wolverine work over at Marvel in the 90s on Rockin' Robbie Live, so check out that show sometimes. They'll eventually be dropped out on their own as little bits here on the channel. However, Spider-Man and Wolverine issue number 1 really impressed me. It's written by Mark Guggenheim with artwork by Kari Andrews. The artwork was great, kind of felt very 90s, very McFarlane-esque, right? That's something we have said before about Andrew's work, in particular on his Spider-Man work. And there was a big reveal at the end of the first issue where it looks like Peter has found evidence that Wolverine is directly responsible in the deaths of Peter's parents. So you know what happens? Shit goes crazy. And I'm talking full-on 90s gatefold or centerfold, pull it out. This is freaking awesome. This is just a giant fight between Wolverine and Peter Parker throughout this entire issue, and they are both basically in berserk rage. It is freaking wild. It is incredibly energetic. It is incredibly fast-paced. It is riveting, and it has emotional weight to it. This Spider-Man and Wolverine book is 2 issues in, and it's better than most Marvel books out there. Marvel, this is the energy that we really need to see in the widespread throughout the line. That's what I want to see. Like this is Marvel Comics done right. 100%. Do more like that. Also, we got The Thing, issue number 2. It's a pretty solid issue of The Thing. This is set back in our timeline, the 80s or whatever, I believe, because Thing's wearing certain trunks. But a bully of Ben Grimm's from when Ben was a kid has asked for his help to help him locate his niece or something like that. They've come up against a superpowered gladiator, the Daredevil character Gladiator. In this one, they go up against Bullseye. So it's The Thing trying to find his former bully's niece, and now he's going up against Bullseye, and it's the first meeting between Benjamin J. Grimm and Bullseye, and it's pretty cool. This book has got a light touch to it, but at the same time, it does take itself seriously. It's a serious book, but it's got this light touch to it that make it perfect for The Thing. Tony Fleece really understands this character, and the artwork's pretty solid too. Then we got the Uncanny X-Men issue number 16. This is the end of this Dark Artery story, which I haven't been really super vibing with this story. Uncanny X-Men is still one of my favorite X-Men books ongoing currently right now. But this story, I'm kind of glad that it's over. It was all right. It was nice having David Marquez back. You get a little bit of help from Vecchio here, and the art's great, but I just wasn't really super engaged with this story, and I feel a little lost in the plot overall. Like, I kind of forget what's going on, and it's weird because this book kind of comes out on a regular basis. So maybe it's time to do a reread, because the last time I reread some X-Men books in one big chunk, I kind of liked it a little bit better. Then we got Fantastic Four here with issue number 33. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. I think Ryan North's run has been just okay. This was an alright issue. They decide, Val comes up with this plan to get Ben. Ben has been depowered by Dr. Doom, who is, of course, the Emperor of the world right now at Marvel, in one world under Doom. And they've been trying all these really dumb things to get Ben his powers back. Now their latest attempt is to go back to the very much the Big Bang, the beginning of time, the first bit of time, right? And so that's that story, but I liked this issue because it really spotlights Herbie, and it spotlights Herbie in a very interesting, cool way that I liked, and I thought it was rather touching. One of the more touching Herbie stories I've ever read. So kudos to Ryan North for that. This is the final issue of this volume. I'll be relaunching in the next issue with the new #1. Humberto Ramos on the artwork. I'm looking forward to that. Why reboot? Well, there's a Fantastic Four movie on the way. Then we got Predator versus Spider-Man issue #3. Y'all, I'm liking this book. This one's not as nitty-gritty, gory, gory as the last 2 issues, but it's been cool, man. There's a heat wave going on in New York City. There is a reject predator out there named the Skinner who likes to skin things and wear their faces. He's out there. There's a blackout because of the heat wave. Spider-Man's up against these predators. Kraven's involved. It's all leading into this Predator destroys the Marvel Universe stuff. These Predator crossing over with Marvel books have been pretty fun. And that's all they're supposed to be. It's just like big, dumb action movie fun. They're supposed to feel like a Predator movie, but with your Marvel characters. That's what they are. And this Spider-Man one, I think has been the best yet. All right, over at Boom Studios, we got VR Troopers issue #1. I remember VR Troopers. I used to watch this show. That's right, back in my Power Ranger days. Hell, somewhere in my closet, I still got 3 VR Trooper toys. And reading this book made me want to grab them, pick them out again, and put them up here and display them proudly because, man, this was a pretty solid book. Now, a lot of things have been going on in the pages of the Power Rangers books, and I haven't been reading those, but it didn't matter. I just threw right in line with this. So apparently, the Altarians now rule the Earth. They're like part of the Altarian Empire or something like that. That's interesting. And these characters have already existed. They're already the VR Troopers, so I think that got done in Power Rangers Prime or something. I don't know. I didn't read that. However, I was reading this and I enjoyed it. It brought that wave of VR Trooper nostalgia back, but it was updated. It was fresh. The characters felt more complex and well-rounded. The artwork was cool. It was kinetic and dynamic when it needed to be. It was able to slow down. There's a mystery. Somebody's able to use their virtualizer, and it's supposed to be keyed into your genetics. So who is it? Is it our hero's missing dad? All this kind of stuff. This was interesting. I'm kind of pulled into VR Troopers right now. Will that pull me back into Power Rangers? If you've been reading the Power Ranger books from Boom, how have they been? I haven't been reading them in like a year or 2, so let me know. Minor Arcana is here with issue #8. This was a rather mundane issue of Minor Arcana. It's a good issue. It's solid. A lot of things happen, especially with their characters, but this is a character-focused work, right? That's what Jeff Lemire does. Sometimes he has a cool concept, but it's usually character-driven. That's what's going on in the pages of Minor Arcana. So in this issue, you just kind of do some relationship work, do some character work. That's what's being built here. But at the same time, there's a thread throughout this issue that by the end of it, it kind of puts the story in a different perspective. This has been a solid book. And even though Jeff Lemire is no longer doing the art, still works and still has that kind of flavor. Then we got, from Dark Horse Comics, Tramps of the Apocalypse issue #1. This book was nowhere near my radar, and I am here to tell you that this is your sleeper hit of the week. This book was insanely fun and very cool. I liked it a lot. Alice Darrow, I don't know if there's any relation to Jeff Darrow there. Alice Darrow, who does the script and the interior and cover inks, and then Hugo Blanc does the colors. And it's monochromatic, right? But it's about an apocalyptic world run by men, and the women are considered to be heinous she-devil beasts. It's that whole fear of women type thing, and they're out there, and like if you come across a woman, she's gonna beat the shit out of you and steal all your stuff, that kind of a thing. And man, this book is just so ridiculously fun. It is goofy, it is satirical, it is not taking itself very seriously, though there is a message there, but at the same time it's having fun with this notion. It reminds me of some work from like Benjamin Marra or something like that. Like I really liked this book. So definitely seek this one out if you like something weird, subversive, alternative, interesting, fun, silly, underground. Tramps of the Apocalypse issue #1. I really liked that book. Who Are the Power Pals is here with issue #4, a very satisfying conclusion to what has been an undersung, underappreciated, yet absolutely phenomenal story. Who are the Power Pals? The Power Pals were a wannabe TV show back in the 90s that they built up with a lot of hype, but it got canceled within 6 issues, and the 2 stars or would-be stars of that show want to relive their glory days and become famous again by becoming the Power Pals again, even though nobody remembers them, because it was just a TV show that nobody saw. But it's wound up into all this crazy comedy, and at the same time, the weight of the friendship really carries this book through. What a stellar job. Anything that Dwayne Murray and Ahmed Rafat do, pay attention, because they know what they're doing. Great stuff there with Power Pals. Then we got Hook, Big Bad World, issue number 2. Mark Miller, Raphael Albuquerque, a really solid issue of Hook. Hook was one of my favorite Mark Miller books when he was doing all those interesting new concepts where he's basically taking like a movie and mixing it with superheroes. Like Superior is big meets superheroes, right? Super Crooks, like Ocean's 11, but with superheroes, right? Huck is like Forrest Gump, but with superheroes, right? So Huck is a little bit slow, but he's super powered and he can find anybody. It's like a superpower he has, and he's going up against another super powered individual who has crazy abilities and is a hero for hire, but there's more to that story. Really solid issue of Huck. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. Then from Mad Cave, we got Don't Forget Your Briefcase, issue number 1. It's a new one from Elliot Rahal. Haven't seen much from Elliot Rahal recently, and also Philip Seavey is on the art. And this was a really solid read. It was incredibly well written and very well executed artistically and in the script. So it's about this woman. There's a new president, and this woman is the one who holds the nuclear football, the briefcase with all the launch codes and all that kind of stuff. So she's being trained to do that. Meanwhile, there's a story about a woman who works at a White House, and she's got a kid, and the kid carries around a briefcase. The briefcases get switched. Boom, boom, boom. But it was incredibly well written. The relationship between the mom and the kid is so nuanced in this book, and it feels very real. And all the setup, all the dialogue, it was really incredibly paced. I loved it. I thought this book was incredibly well done. Then we got Crush Depth, issue number 4. The penultimate issue of this book. It's got Michael Crichton kind of vibes. It's about a science team that's been in a lab under the ocean forever because the air on the surface has been poisoned. They don't even know if anybody's alive. All kinds of weird science. Tentacled monsters, all kinds of craziness. It's building up the tension. It's revealing motivations. It's setting up a fantastic finale for what's to come in Crush Depth. So if you like sci-fi horror, now you might want to check that one out. All right, from a company called Thunder Comics, we have Never Wars. So Never Wars has 3 issue number 1s out this week. Don't be confused. These are 3 different comic books. There's 1A, 1B, and 1C. One of them is involving Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, one is involving Peter Pan, and one is involving something connected to Wonderland, right? It's all set in like World War I era, where tornado comes. Like Dorothy's like a medic in the war, Peter Pan is like a soldier, and there's this kid that's connected to the White Rabbit from Wonderland. He's a soldier. There's a tornado that shows up and takes them all into this place, like some kind of fantasy land or something. There's a map. Yeah, Neverworld. So Neverworld is a fantasy land that has Wonderland, Neverland, Fairyland, the Land of Oz, the Emerald City, the Wicked Witch's Castle, all that kind of stuff. So it's all one magical land, and so it's 3 young people from World War I who get flung into this fantasy world to become the fantasy people they are. It wasn't that bad, but this is a crap thing to do, because it's like 1A, 1B, 1C. Like, that's weird. Just name it like Never Wears Wonderland, Never Wars Dorothy, Never Wars Peter Pan. And anyway, they were all right. I'm kind of intrigued. They weren't great, but they weren't super boring. They read fast. They were all right. They were just okay. I'll get back to you when the series, because I think now the series is converging into just 2 and 3 and so on and so forth. Then we got Mega Man Timelines, issue number 1. This is from Udon. I love the Mega Man games, but I don't know much about the Mega Man story. I never read the comics. I think there was a cartoon or something. I've never really explored the mythology of Mega Man. So I was reading this and I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but the art was cool. And they're combining different Mega Man universes together, like Mega Man X is next or something like that. So if you're a Mega Man fan, Timelines is out. There you go. All right, from Floating World Comics, we have Magic Lantern, issue number 1. This is from Shaky Kane, right? Isn't that the cat's name? Yeah, Shaky Kane. This is a big tribute and an homage to The Fly, for instance, but it's about this dude named Elon Gates, who's a crazy mad scientist, and his wife, like, runs him over with the car, so they're investigating why. Turns out he's a scientist. He's trying to invent this Oregon energy. It's got that portal straight, or that machine straight ripped out of Cronenberg's The Fly. And he takes DNA from the Shroud of Turin, and he's trying to make a wonder drug, and a fly gets in there, and Fly Jesus hybrid. It's wild, it's irreverent, it's fun, it's wild, it's wacky. I had a lot of fun with it, and guess what? It's the smell of the week. It smells like sacrilegity and funicity. I gotta work on these things. Anyway, also finally from Oni Press, we have Out of Alcatraz issue number 4. I've been really digging this book. Tyler Crook's artwork is absolutely astonishing. So good. And the characters, the way they can emote, oh, it's absolutely stellar. And then the story is reaching a point. It's very much more of a human story. There's not so much action in this one, but we get deep into the characters, into their reasoning, into their resolve, and we're moving on into what seems to be towards the end of the story. I don't know how long this is planning on going, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm really liking it. Also, from IDW, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1. This is right. The relaunched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, written by Jason Aaron, with artwork by Juan Ferreira, but there were a bunch of different artists in the first few issues, and then they pulled it together into one ongoing team. This is the first 6 issues of the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is the library edition, which is hardcover, $50, and it's got a lot of extra bonus material. There's also a paperback out today that's quite a bit cheaper. I don't know, maybe 20, 25, maybe 30. I don't know, something like that. So if you missed out, or if you just want a nice edition of it, I really like this hardcover. It's pretty solid. For $50, 6 issues for $50, that seems a little pricey. I feel like this should be 30 to 40, but I think it's a pretty cool package. All right, so to recap, Out of Alcatraz was pretty solid. Magic Lantern was ridiculous fun. Mega Man, if you're a fan, I think you're going to be super into that book. The Never Wars was intriguing enough, but really confusing with its 3 different number 1s that are in fact 3 different stories that will eventually come together in issue 2. Crush Depth, setting up a fantastic finale. Don't forget your Briefcase was absolutely well done. Like, such a cool book. Huck Big Bad World was great. Who Are the Power Pals had a stupendously awesome ending. Tramps of the Apocalypse was like your sleeper hit of the week. Minor Arcana focused on character more in this issue, but it worked. VR Troopers was really solid, and it freshened up the approach to the VR Troopers. Predator vs. Spider-Man was so much fun. Fantastic Four, one of the best Herbie stories I've ever read. All right, Uncanny X-Men was all right, but I'm kind of glad that story is wrapped up. The Thing was super cool and spot on. Spider-Man and Wolverine, this is how Marvel Comics should be. This was freaking awesome, y'all. Ultimate Spider-Man, great as usual. Giant Size Age of Apocalypse, not great, but tickled that nostalgia tinge for me. We got those Mark Spears reprints of Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. They also come in non-foil editions. Batman Ghosts in a facsimile, regular and foil edition. Peacemaker, Vigilante, Eagly Special was ridiculously fun. DC Sonic has been great. Green Lantern, that's great. Superman was great. Y'all, this is some good week of comics. Justice League Unlimited was good. Mr. Terrific Year 1 was good. Absolute Wonder Woman was good. Absolute Martian Manhunter was phenomenal. The new History of the DC Universe, I enjoyed that. Gunslinger Spawn was okay. Moonshine Bigfoot was good. Feral was great. Hyde Street was amazing. Seasons was super solid. Department of Truth was dope, even though it was a deviation. The Mummy is an alright ending to an alright story. Void Rivals was pretty solid. You'll Do Bad Things, intriguing, yet challenging. We're Taking Everyone Down With Us was absolutely brilliant. So was News from the Fallout. Love that book. But pick of the week takes the cake. Assorted Crisis Events, issue number 4. That's what I read. That's what I thought. That's what I'm digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Keep on reading. Pop, pop, boom!